We all agreed immediately that these paddles were just kind of garbage, to be honest with you.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, welcome to the channel. I am Fred with 10 Pickleball, and this channel is about documenting our process of starting a pickleball-based company, and it's going to be a paddle and accessory company. So we're going to be selling paddles and balls and bags, and basically everything that you want or need for your pickleball journey, and we're starting with paddles and balls. And so this is going to be video number 2. Check out video number 1 if you get a chance. And today we're going to be talking about some new samples that we got in, and we're going to talk about what we like and dislike about them, and go over some of the features of the paddles we've tested and the new ones, and talk about what we like and we don't like with all of them, so you can kind of learn something along the process if you don't already know about this stuff, or maybe you can inform me about something on the process that maybe I don't know about, because I know that a lot of you guys out there are very, very educated on paddles and materials, and you have even more experience playing pickleball than even I do, so I can definitely learn from some of you guys. So if I say anything that is inaccurate, be sure and correct me, and if you want to have anything to add to the conversation, just add it in the comments below, and we can talk about it down there. Let me flip the camera around, and we'll talk about what we got back here behind me. All right, guys, so what we have here is a selection of all the pickleball paddles that we have been playing with as a family from the beginning of our pickleball journey until right now today. And this isn't all the paddles that we played on, but this is the majority of the ones and all the ones that we've, I think, personally bought. But we've played on friends' paddles and got experiences on other paddles as well. So anyway, basically we start down here where a lot of people start, which is a really cheap Franklin wooden paddle. And this one actually broke. It's broken inside here, broke when I was playing with it in the first month or so. And then we bought some other low-end, what would we call Gen 1 paddles. And we got some Gen 2 and Gen 3 paddles here represented as well. And so everything from here down are my paddles that I've had produced to my specifications by my manufacturer. And these are the ones that we're really talking about. And then everything down here is just store-bought from the sporting goods stores, the local, sporting goods stores and whatnot. So this is the subject of the video right here, are these paddles. And the first ones we got were going to be these two right here, and then these two right here, and we've covered those in a previous video. So today really we're going to be talking about the two most recent ones that came in this week, which are these two right here. And these, I was very excited to get these to test them out. And they are identical other than one of them, this one here is 16 millimeters thick, and this one on the left is 14 millimeters thick. So you can see the difference. I think you can see the difference in height there. It's actually really hard to see when they're held up because the handle's holding them off the table a little bit here. If we do that, maybe it's more obvious. Yeah, there's the difference in height. It ain't much. It's literally 2 millimeters, but that 2 millimeters makes a humongous difference in the play characteristics of these two paddles. So these, just to catch you up on what these are Gen 2 thermoformed paddles with carbon fiber faces. And so these are a high quality paddle. They're made really nice, and the quality is actually really, really good. I've been all over these paddles and played with them quite a lot, as you can tell. And they feel good in the hand, and they're made really, really well. They're right on par with all the paddles. Of course, they're way better than these down here, but they are, just really good. Really happy with the quality, really happy with the print quality. The company did a good job as far as manufacturing them and making what I think is a good paddle. However, we're all really, really disappointed in these two paddles. Sad to say. Not too sad, because that's what testing is all about. You find some you like and some you don't. And I was really happy out of all 6 of these paddles that we've tested to find some that we didn't like. Because honestly, some of us have liked all 4 of these. Nobody hated any of them. And I was beginning to think, well, are all paddles good? Like, I mean, surely all paddles aren't good. Like, there are major differences in how they're constructed, so some paddles have to be markedly, noticeably worse than others. But they hadn't been up until now. When we got these, we all agreed immediately that these paddles were just kind of garbage, to be honest with you. And not in manufacturing quality or anything, just in actual gameplay. These paddles do not play well. But the big test was to find out if a 14 millimeter paddle really played different than a 16. And the theory is a 14 millimeter paddle, because it has a thinner core, it can't absorb the ball bounce as much as a 16 millimeter core. So when the ball hits the paddle, the core inside there, which is, let me show you what the core is in case you don't know. This is the core inside almost every single paddle has this polypropylene honeycomb structure on the inside of it. So when we say core, we're talking about that white honeycomb plastic right there. And so this one that we're looking at here is tiny. I think that's a 10 millimeter core, so extremely thin. Fairly uncommon to even use a 10 millimeter paddle anymore. I think they're basically just used in the lowest end paddles, cheapest paddles that you can get. Most paddles are going to be a 14 or a 16 these days. And so when the ball hits a 14, it's got 14 millimeters worth of plastic to cushion that ball. And if you play on a 16, obviously, it's got 16 millimeters of plastic to cushion the impact of that ball. And you wouldn't think that that would be a big deal, like 2 millimeters, who cares? It's plastic. It's not even going to compress that much anyway. But in actuality, it's a huge difference. When you play on these two paddles, it's literally night and day difference between how the ball feels, and you can even hear the difference in how the ball sounds. It cracks off of this paddle way louder and sharper, and way more muted and lower sound off this paddle. But of course, we don't really care about the sound. We care about how the ball acts and how it feels. And the feel is honestly, in fact, it's pretty garbage on both of these paddles. But it reacts off the face of this paddle way faster, way harder. The ball just ricochets off here super fast. And arguably, and honestly, some people actually like that for some reason. They want a super fast paddle. Most of the people I play with do not want that and do not benefit from it, and I certainly don't want it. I like a much cushier paddle with a much softer feel. It helps my gameplay. So the 16 millimeter, way better than the 14. But like I'm saying, these two paddles were these were the duds out of the whole batch. These, we don't like either one of them. Even the 16 doesn't play very good. It just has it's hard to really quantify the feel when you're talking about it. Because it's one of those things that you literally have to feel it to understand it, but it just has a cheap feel. It has an interestingly cheap feel to it, and nobody liked these paddles. The spin was not very good on the face. These are raw carbon fiber with peel ply texture, so they should have had good spin. The spin was just really average on both of these. We're not very happy with that part of these paddles either. So these two paddles are actually out, but it was still a successful test because it proved to us that the 14 and the 16, the thickness does matter, and it matters a lot. So we'll take that information into the future on our newer paddle revisions, and we will test 14 and 16 millimeter on the better paddles as time goes on. But I think I'm pretty certain that 16 millimeter is going to be like the de facto standard for us on all of our paddles, at least in the beginning. And we may venture into different core thicknesses as time goes on. But for now, 16 seems to be the winner. 16 seems to be the point of diminishing returns too. When you go thicker than 16, it may get slightly softer and more cushiony and comfort oriented, but that increase in cush and softness really tapers off after 16 millimeters. I've played all the way up to 20 millimeter thick paddles, and they didn't feel much different than you would expect a 16 to feel. So we probably won't go ever thicker than a 16. So anyway, yeah, that's just kind of the news for the week. We've tested two new paddles, found out that they were losers, and we're moving back to these two paddles here as our primary front runners. These two here are both 16 millimeter paddles, and these two paddles feel fantastic. I played just last night on these four paddles, and I went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and the feel on these paddles right here are just so good. The main difference on these two is the face material is woven carbon fiber. This is 3K carbon fiber. And it's got the titanium in it, so it's the titanium carbon fiber 3K weave, whereas these are raw carbon fiber. It's not woven at all. These are also have fiberglass in the face. These are carbon fiber and fiberglass. These I believe are straight carbon fiber. So this paddle here has a fantastic feel, excellent control, and really phenomenal spin. The weave pattern and the titanium weave, mainly it's the weave pattern itself, I believe is what it is. The weave pattern itself is what is giving these paddles just a really good spin potential, and you can really shape the ball on the court and put it right where you want it. So these are the winners so far, and then these two down below we talked about in the last video are pretty good. This is a really good paddle. This is a Gen 3 paddle, and I really like this paddle. But I don't know that the Gen 3 has any realistic advantage over the Gen 2. When I play back and forth between these two paddles, I don't feel that this paddle is giving me anything that this paddle doesn't already have. The Gen 3 is arguably better for somebody who wants a faster paddle I don't find that to be a huge difference in actual gameplay, at least on these examples. This one here is the same paddle, but it has foam all the way through the core, and it is so stiff that it will not pass. It will not pass USA Pickleball approval. So this paddle will not be going into production anyway. So it's kind of a moot point. But anyway, yeah, so Gen 3 versus Gen 2. I'm personally thinking Gen 2 is probably the way to go. I know a lot of companies are coming out with Gen 3 paddles. I know that's the hot thing. I'm not convinced that it's worth it for the average player. The rec player and the beginner comp player, I don't know that Gen 3 is, I don't know that it's a real advantage. I'm not going to say it's not. I'm not going on record saying it's useless or anything. Absolutely not. I'm just saying that for us, I don't think there's any advantage to going Gen 3 at this point in time when this paddle works so well. So anyway, that's what I got for you guys. Let me flip the camera around here. Yeah, so that's what I got for you guys in this video. Just a little bit of an update on the new paddle samples and the direction we're headed with everything. We're really excited to get some production order going on the new paddles and get the finalized art for the paddle and finalized colorways. So that's all coming in the works. If you guys have any questions, let me know down below. Please subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it if you do. That lets me know that you are interested in the process and the journey and you want to stay updated. And if you have any questions or anything, let me know. I will answer in the comments. Otherwise, check us out on Instagram. We're on Facebook, but we're not active there yet. We're going to be on Instagram and we're going to be on TikTok. Anyway, guys, I will catch you on the next video.